Hi everybody, this is Boogast Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the brand new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Deluxe Theatrical Edition movie Superman figure. So before we take a look at Superman, let's go ahead and take a look at all of the numerous accessories that he comes with. So first up, he comes with your standard DC Multiverse base. It is kind of weird they're not using the new DC logo on any of these bases yet. Up next you get his data file, which features, I'm assuming, promo art for the film right there instead of a picture of him as Superman. And if you want to read that, go ahead and pause that now. I do actually like how they mention a brief little bio on Krypto. You can see that it says he's an untrained white dog. So that kind of makes sense from what we've seen with the trailer. I thought it was really cool that you got a little bit about Krypto as well. Up next he comes with a fisted and grappling hand. Up next, he comes with an alternate set of flying hands. Up next, he comes with 3 regular faceplates, and I honestly can't see a difference between any of them. These all look the same to me. I think the head sculpt, or the faceplate that's on him right now, the right eye is a bit wonky, but that's the only difference. You know, none of these are smiling or angry or anything. All of these just look the same to me. If anyone knows what the difference between these are, just let me know, because I can't tell any difference on them. Up next, he comes with his Heat Vision faceplate, which I think is a really awesome looking faceplate. I love the way the Heat Vision is painted on him. The eyes are done in solid red paint, and then they printed the glow from the Heat Vision around his eyes there. It's kind of like a red that fades into a pinkish color on the skin tone. And that looks really good. I do wish this would have been more of a serious head sculpt. This one actually does kind of look like he's smirking. But overall, I think it's really good, and at least I can actually tell a difference with this faceplate. And finally, he comes with Krypto, and Krypto looks really cool, and he has a surprising amount of paint variation on him. I will say I feel like the eyes are a bit cartoony, the way they painted the eyes, but other than that, I do like the shading around the mouth and the eyes there. I feel like that's how white dogs get around the eyes and the mouth right there. You get some, it's like a flesh color for the inside of his ear, and you get variation over top of all of his fur. I don't know if the camera's picking up, but it's kind of like a cream color. But that looks really good. You get a nice little fabric cape for him. Would have been cool if they would have put some wire in it, that way you could pose it around, but they didn't. And they actually painted some gold details on the yellow collar right here. So yeah, this is a pretty cool pack-in with Superman that actually has a surprising amount of paint variation on him. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the head sculpt on Superman. So taking a look at this head sculpt, I think McFarlane Toys did a really good job at sculpting and printing the details on here. I think the head sculpt really looks like David Cornsweet. I think that's a pretty good likeness. I feel like on all of the faceplates, the right eye, I feel like it's a bit bigger, or maybe it's angled a bit more than the left eye. But other than that, I think this is a really good head sculpt for him. The hair is sculpted really nicely. I like how you get the little curl right there. And I feel like, for the most part, they integrated the faceplate onto the head really nicely. I feel like it's not super noticeable, kind of just looks like a seam line on the figure. With the way it meets up with the hair and the sideburns right here, the only real place you see it is towards his ear. So yeah, if you look at it straight on, you can't actually tell that that's a faceplate. So I think McFarlane did a really good job of integrating the faceplates onto this particular figure. I think the suit is actually a pretty interesting design. With the lines that are sculpted on, it kind of reminds me of New 52 Superman from the comics, kind of mashed up with Henry Cavill's Superman. I love all of the textures you get on the suit. The textures look great. I always love when they put textures on movie figures. I just think it really elevates the design. The logo came out really clean right here. He has an amazing fabric cape. It's really wide. It made me realize that I don't think any Batman figures have actually... Well, yeah, I think the movie Ben Affleck Batman figure actually used this type of material. But I think that McFarlane should use this type of material for the comic Batman figures, too. It's just really, really wide. Oops. It's really wide, and it drapes on the figure really nicely. You get the Superman logo here on the back looking really nice. The only complaint that I have with this is mine has a spot of glue on it. It's not quite as noticeable from the back, but it is from the front. It's really stiff right here, like really hard, like it got glue on it. So that is a bit unfortunate, but other than that, I think this cape looks really nice. You can pose it around really nicely, like it's blowing in the wind. Yeah, that looks really, really cool. This version of Superman has the red trunks with the yellow belt right there, and it's painted all the way around. You can see some more of the sculpted lines and the texturing right there. This figure is just sculpted so well. It looks really, really awesome. You don't get any sort of texturing on the boots here, but you do get some sculpted on lines, and I think that looks pretty awesome. I also forgot to mention that you do see where they insert the cape into the upper torso right here. It is meant to stay kind of like this, that way it hides it, and if you pose it the right way, it will, but if you pose the cape around too much, then you will see a little bit of gappage right there. That's a small complaint, but I did forget to mention that when I was going over the cape. So now, let's go ahead and go over his articulation. So he has a ball-jointed head, and man, it's really, really stiff. You can hear me trying to move it back. It really doesn't move back that far unless you force it. Let's see, can't really look down at all. You can move side to side, but man, that is an extremely tight joint. I might have to go in and sand it down a little bit because man, that's just really rough right there. He has shoulders that can move all the way out and spin all the way around very nicely. He has a swivel to bicep, double jointed elbows that can bend all the way in, wrists that can move up and down and spin all the way around, ball jointed diaphragm and waist that can move back a little bit. Usually McFarlane figures have no problem moving back that much. He can't really crunch forward that far. The side to side movement is decent here, up here at the diaphragm joint, and at the waist it's almost non-existent. It just doesn't want to move right there. So the articulation on the neck and the diaphragm joint really bother me on this figure, especially considering this is a deluxe figure at a deluxe price. He has hips that can just about do a complete split. He can kick forward that far. He can kick back just a little bit. Really limited thigh swivel. Double jointed knees that can only move back that far. I think I'm stressing the plastic out. Yeah, so don't move the knees back that far. So realistically, they can only move back that far before you start chewing the plastic up. He has ankles that can move down just a little bit, up all the way, spin all the way around, and to articulation that can move up that far. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up, here he is next to the GOATs, the Christopher Reeve Superman and Henry Cavill. And I love Henry Cavill's Superman as much as I do Christopher Reeve. I hope the new actor lives up to the hype that they do. Here he is next to the classic comic Superman figure. And finally, here he is next to the DC Collectibles New 52 Superman figure. I think that the design with like the lines and stuff kind of remind me of that a little bit. So overall, I think McFarlane Toys did a decent job on this for the most part. I think the paint on is pretty solid. I absolutely love the sculpt. I think the textures and the lines and everything look really good, and the sculpted likeness of David Cornsweet looks really good. I think it really looks like him now that I have it in hand. The print detail on that, on all the faceplates also helps that. So I think the sculpt and the paint looks really good, but the articulation is kind of disappointing. You heard the way that the neck joint moved, the waist and the diaphragm don't move the way they should. The hips are pretty limited, and even the knees. You can't move the knees back or you'll chew the plastic up. So while I do like this figure, the articulation could have been a lot better, especially since this is, I think it's like $37.99, so this is even more than a regular collector's edition figure. I think at the most this figure should have been like $29.99, maybe $32.99. I definitely don't think it's quite worth the full price that McFarlane Toys are wanting for this. I honestly think that comes down to licensing fees and likeness rights and stuff like that with Warner Brothers. I don't know if McFarlane Toys necessarily said that, but yeah, I do feel like it's a little bit steep for this figure, especially considering it does have some flaws to it. So, that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.